Hello, my Teaserking family. Let's see if it's working better now. It looks like it's still freezing up. I'm seeing the clock at 2. So I'm connecting. 12. See, but the clock should be going 12, 13, 14, 15, and it's not. Now go from 12 to 32 to 41. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I lose the sound. I can't. Now it seems to be freezing. Let's see what it looks like on the phone. I don't know. Are you guys able to hear me? And I can see it's freezing. I'm on YouTube and I'm just getting this. I'm getting a circle. It's not connecting. All right. Well, I'll start talking. Yeah, it's okay. It's YouTube. It's slow, but I'll keep going as long as you guys can hear me. So hit the Buffalo game perfectly. Had Denver in 13, the under 53, the money line. I know Nick had it. So we had a pretty good game. So I was thinking about it, and the question is, how did I come up with that? And then I'm thinking, not only that, but basically that's everything in life, right? Money, gold, women, poker, anything you do, picking games, picking jobs, it's all the same. You have to analyze and problem solve. In football, the problem is picking the winner. What's going to happen in the game? You're trying to predict what's going to happen. In the economy, you're trying to predict what's going to happen. Well, let's see. If you print money, overprint it, it loses value. It goes to zero. Therefore, we need to buy something that will hold its value while the dollar loses value, and that's gold and silver. And that's the only thing. Or the mantle card, but really that's still not money. You still need to sell it to get to the gold and silver. So you're better off with gold and silver. I can see it's lagging, so I don't know if I should keep on or not. It's not working right. The clock's sitting at 3:48. Now it's 3:55, but it should go boom, boom, boom. Let's see if it clears up. Anyway, so everything we do is problem solve. And the better we are at it, the more money we make, the happier we are. You problem solve girls. You problem solve jobs. Which job do I want to work at? What do I want to do? Well, okay, I make more money if I'm X than Y, so I'll do that. If I can't be a doctor, so I won't go that route. Money played a part in finance. Getting a master's in finance was a financial decision, but I enjoy analyzing and I enjoy numbers, so it made it work out okay. All right, well, let's see if this cleans up. Yeah, we got the Mac. All right, let's take a look at the Mac. So let me get I got last night's line, so let's look at this line. How'd you like that Denver pick? Pretty good, huh? I love when the money line hits. YouTube's just really slow today. All right, we got Eastern Michigan, 3.5, 39.5. I'll call it 40 against Akron. Akron's the Z team. We've got Toledo 9.5, 49.5. Toledo's an A team with a 20 defense. Bowling Green's the E team with a 24. So really, it just means they score in the mid-20s and they give up in the mid-20s. So they're not quite an A and they're not quite a Z. Somewhere in the middle. Western against Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois, 4.5, 56, up from 54. Western's an over team with a 32 defense. Northern Illinois is an under team with a 23 defense. So we got mixing questions. So let's look at these three. Let's look at injuries. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I had the Jets under was a lock, and then I love Denver in 13. I think that was my best bet was Denver in 13. It wasn't a lock. And then I liked the game under, but the 13 was just too good to pass. Western and Eastern. Hey, Greg and John. Well, yeah. Let's take a look. So what do we got? We're all over the board. All right. Akron first. Quarterback Irons has been out all year. They got a couple of questionables. Bowling Green is next up. Ball State, fairly healthy. Bowling Green. A couple of running backs are questionable. Eastern. No injuries for Eastern. Northern Illinois. They got Lombardi as quarterback from Michigan State. Kansas Bean is probable with his head. So, yeah, he looked like it was a weird hit, and he just looked out of it. Came back in, didn't do anything. So they got K-State this week. That'll be interesting. Kent, their quarterback, Alamo is questionable. Let's see, Bowling Green. It says Stewart. It says he's questionable with the leg for today. This is as of November 8th. So it just says he's questionable. It doesn't really give a. You would think it'd be doubtful. So he might try, but he might not be able to do anything. Mikey Keene, Fresno State quarterback, questionable at the head. Who are we looking at? Eastern Michigan. I think they were fine. Eastern has no injuries to report. Hard to believe. Northern Illinois, that's where we're going. Northern Illinois. Miami switched quarterbacks to Williams from Van Dyke, and he's out for the season with an arm. I love it. Let's see. Michigan. Oh my God, there's so many M&M teams. Pavia, my New Mexico State quarterback's questionable. I see he got hurt last week, but it just says undisclosed. Northern Illinois, wide receiver, questionable with the lower body, so he's okay. Well, I mean, and the last, so we got to go to Toledo. Toledo, no injuries. And last but not least, Western Michigan. Tight end, questionable. So really no injuries. Maybe your receiver is a little bit out. So it says here Eastern started -8, it's now -3.5. And I don't really – they're playing Akron's a Z team. Akron's terrible. Yeah, I think Eastern's good. What's your teaser? Western and Eastern? I like Eastern. Only you get 2.5 at home against Akron's terrible team. Yeah, it says he's questionable. So even if he plays, what are you going to get out of him? Probably not a lot. Bowling Green playing Toledo. I would like Toledo there. Toledo is the A team. Northern Illinois, Western. So you like Western. Western's an over team. So they're going to score, but they have no defense. Over under 51. Northern Illinois, an under team. Let's take a look at the last couple of Northern Illinois games. You don't think they've been looking good. Ball State, they lost 20-17. Central, they lost 37-31. They beat Eastern. They beat Ohio, which is a good team. They killed Akron. They played Toledo tough, 35-33. And then they beat BC first week of the year, 27-24. I don't know that they've been playing bad. I mean, Ball State's an E team. Central is a W team, so they can't play defense. They scored 31 on them. Eastern, they beat. Eastern's an under team with a 25 defense, 20-13. I think this game will be really close. Let's look at Western. Western beat Central 38-28. Beat Eastern 45-21. Lost to Ohio, but Ohio's very good, 2017. Lost to Miami of Ohio, who's very good. Lost to Mississippi State 48. They lost to Mississippi State 41-28. They killed Ball State. They lost to Toledo 49-31. That's all right. They played Iowa. They lost 41-10. So, they've been playing close and they've been scoring on Central. So let's see if we can get a comparison. Central gives up 30. Eastern gives up 25. So this will be like the Eastern game. And they put up 45 on Eastern. Yeah, I like Western Michigan here. I think Western Michigan and Eastern, I think that's a good teaser. Western gets 10.5. Northern Illinois doesn't score that much, and then Eastern's playing Akron. So I think that's it. Toledo, I probably like too. They've clinched the conference. They're 9-1. So they beat Miami of Ohio, who was the other A team. Ball State. They beat my UMass 41-24. Northern Illinois, Western, San Jose State. Wow, they beat San Jose State 21-17. And lost to Illinois 30. Yeah, I think Toledo is a very good player, especially if that, you're saying the Bowling Green. Yeah, I think Toledo is the best play on the board, -3.5 at Bowling Green. They're healthy, and they're clearly the best team in the conference. I think that and a Western teaser would probably be good. Eastern's probably good too if you want to play it with maybe tomorrow. Let's see what the line is. So let's see. Tomorrow, Ohio 10.5 up from 9.5. 46.5. Then we'll go through all the lines after we talk Mac. Buffalo, Miami of Ohio is 8.5, 40. But again, Gabbert, their quarterback's out. So let's see what they did last week because the quarterback's been out for a few weeks. Yeah, they beat Akron 19-0, which I don't look at as big. And then they beat Ohio. They lost to Toledo. I think they lost it. So I think the last two games. So for sure last week against Akron, let's check the detail there. Smith, 8-17 for 50 yards. But then he ran 11 for 42, and then Amos ran 15 for 118. So Miami of Ohio is struggling. Let's see what's going on with Buffalo. They lost to Ohio 20-10. Snyder, 14-21, 171. They don't have running. It's hard when you look at the stats now. There's very few teams that run. It's all the same. It's all so boring. It's the same. Oh, let's throw to the wide receiver and a two-man screen, and he loses 2 yards. Very rarely does that play work because it's so obvious. You got two guys blocking. They all know the play. No imagination by the offensive coordinators. And they run it. It doesn't get anywhere. They're too stupid to realize that they can't run it. Like, no, it's not going to work. They're not in the right defense. So I think I'd stay, maybe take Buffalo in 14.5, but Snyder's not doing much. They lose 20-10 to Ohio. Ohio's pretty good. They got Rourke and then some running. All right, so Ohio Central. Ohio 10.5, 46.5 to Central. Miami 8.5, 39.5 to Buffalo. Yeah, Miami's not going to get you score. Central, terrible, 30 defense, not much offense. Ohio. Yeah, Ohio's a 15. I think Ohio's a good play. Ohio minus 4.5. Central, the 30 defense. They should go up it. Western Michigan and 11. I think you play Toledo with Western Michigan. I think that's good. Although you could play Eastern with Ohio. Ohio's tomorrow. Probably a good one. As far as over-unders, they're all low. 51, 49, 40, 46, and 40. Toledo probably can go over. They're playing Bowling Green, although with the receiver out. Eastern's an under team against Akron. That's probably an under game because Akron's not going to score against this defense. Central and Ohio Ohio's an under team. I've been betting them under. And Buffalo, Miami, Ohio, without the quarterback, Buffalo, that might be over. It's 40, kind of low. So that's Mac. just to get you to bet every day of the week. Come on, it's Tuesday. Let's put a game up so you can bet it. All right, that's my Daria. I'll tell you her story later. So, yeah, they're trying to get you to bet every day. Well, let's go through the lines and then I'll go through problem solving because I was thinking about that today. I was so proud of the Denver game yesterday, even picking the money line for Nick. And my bitch is not that the money line, he said he was getting 300. So bets 100 to win 300. And my problem is that a good line? Should he have gotten 600? I mean, you're basically doing a reverse teaser. If you think about it, if the spread's 7.5, I'm picking the game even. I'm giving up 7 points. That's got to be worth more than $300. You would think. Again, it's the way they say it. Oh, money line. You know, a way to play the favorite at even. So instead of laying 10, I get to play the game even. And my bitches, I'm not sure it helps you. So let's look at Washington and who are they playing? Utah. Washington was I think it was an 8-point favorite. And so you basically would money line them down to even. So you do an 8.1 team teaser. And you're playing like 400 to win 100. So you're 4-1 the other one, 8-2. They won by 7. I teased it. I was laying 3, I think. It was 9, went to 8.5. But if you really start thinking about what it is, it's a reverse teaser. It's a longer teaser, but the odds are suck. And then do you need the extra points? So you win with Texas with LSU. You win with Washington -2. So what is the difference if Washington -2 in a teaser or Washington even? Are the 2 points going to help you? No, very really. And I'm only laying 11 to 10 on it. On the teaser, you're laying 3-1 against. If you're laying 300 to win 100 on Washington for another point or 2 points, just play the teaser. And if it's like an Alabama where it's a 14-point, I think Bobby played Alabama and LSU and a money line in Georgia, and they all won by 50 points. So it was like, just play a 3-team teaser, you get odds. And, obviously the extra points aren't going to be needed too often. I mean, not in the Alabama and Georgia game, there was no way that they weren't going to smoke them out. Maybe a little bit. LSU maybe needed some points with the quarterback being banged up, but he played. So some more quarterbacks better in college than they are in the pros. Too many injuries, and nobody understands why. All right, so let's go through the lines. So we went through today. Northern Illinois, 44.5, 51. Toledo minus 9.5, 49. Eastern Michigan, 3.5, 40. Tomorrow, Ohio, 10.5, 46. Miami of Ohio, without their quarterback, 8.5, 40. Then we get to Thursday. BC and Pitt. We got Pitt minus 2.5, 46.5 to BC. We got UTSA on Friday. There's only one game on Thursday. Well, there's a good pro game on Cincinnati and Baltimore, which we'll talk about. UTSA 16.5, 66. As far as I know, UTSA, Frank Harris is playing, and he's playing well. Washington State 4.5, 64, the prime time. This game should go over because Washington State's got a 30 defense. Not like they've been playing where they've been playing UCLA and they've been playing Oregon. These teams with the really strong defenses, and they've just been getting killed. They get Washington State, who doesn't have that good of a defense, over against over. So that's Friday night. All right, Saturday. Now they moved these out. Okay, Army 4.5. Coastal Carolina 4.5, 42.5 to Army. Indiana 4.5, 47.5. They've switched them on me, so they're not in order. Some of these. And 4.5, 47. Michigan State's now the Z team in the Big Ten. They're just terrible. And see, they're bad, but then they play Ohio State, and then they play, they start playing the good teams, the Michigan, Ohio State, and all of a sudden they're a Z team. Against the weaker teams, they're not. But that's why it all kind of catches together where you've got to look at it. You got to look at the schedule, and you realize certain teams, who they played and who they haven't played. Michigan, 19.5, 50.5 against Maryland. Louisville, 1.5. One and a half, 46.5 to Miami after the Florida State game. The quarterback that replaced Van Dyke broke his arm. He's out, so Van Dyke's back in. If I was Van Dyke, I'd just walk off the team. I'm like, fuck, you guys don't want me. I'll go to the Bears. I mean, they need me. Penn State, 20.5. Now, there they are. 20.5, 42.5 to Rutgers. Tulane, 9.5, 47.5. This is a freaking nightmare. Okay. All right. Navy, 2.5, 32.5 to East Carr. couple of under teams. Purdue 2.5, 46.5. Against Northwestern. Mississippi State 13.5, 46.5. Now in this game, I see that Will Rogers, the quarterback, is finally probable. He's been questionable with an arm injury, and I don't think he's played. I don't know why they've been questionable. And finally, I see him probable this week. So we'll see if he's playing. That's a big difference when you lose your quarterback. You don't look good. Like here, 14 to Southern Miss. If you got your starting quarterback, is a joke. I mean, they'll kill him. And it skews it. It makes it look like they don't score a lot, but that's with that quarterback out. Oklahoma 24.5 and 56.5 to BYU. Oklahoma off of 2 losses in a row. And then they finally wake up against West Virginia last week. And I think they killed BYU. BYU is banged up. Slovis is questionable, the quarterback. They have not played well the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I honestly think they're I think they're just going to kill them. Ole Miss 37.5, 61.5 after getting crushed by my Georgia team. 37.5, 61. So they get the Z team and Lou Monroe off of a loss where they lost by 100 to Georgia. And then they get Lou Monroe. Yeah. This is going to be 63-0 because I know the way this coach, Lane, whatever his name is, he's going to pile it on. SMU 7.5, 66.5. That's an interesting game. SMU the A team, Memphis the over team with the 29. I think SMU wins this game by 10 or so because they got a really good defense. Alabama's 45.5 to Chattanooga. Why are they playing Chattanooga? Jeez, this is what kills me about, the SEC. They get this Chattanooga game, and what the fuck? It shouldn't even count. Why are you even playing? Liberty, 27.5, 61.5 to UMass. Liberty is a very explosive team. UMass gives up 37 a game. Definitely Liberty here. James Madison, 10.5, 55.5 against App State. Oh, I love the over. Yeah, James Madison's very explosive. App State, very strong. Both strong quarterbacks here. App State gives up 27, but James Madison only gives up 18. But App State's played some good teams. This could be a very strong overplay because it's 55, not 70, right? This is what I talk about when you find that mid-50 overplay or even upper 50 underplay. But that's where you got to know the team. Ball State, Kent State. Why is this MAC game on Saturday? Ball State, 12.5, 41.5. Both are Z teams. I mean, Kent, I don't know. I think Kent's worse than Akron. What are you going to do here? Take Ball State, the Z team, -6? You can't take Kent. They suck. Over under a 41. This is just Z against Z. Rice, 2.5, 47.5 against Charlotte. Now, we love Rice if the quarterback plays, Daniels. He didn't play last week, and what should have been an over game with UTSA, they didn't score. They had a backup quarterback. So if Daniels, the quarterback, plays, And this will probably be a lock because Charlotte's terrible. Rice is explosive. So as I say, this is what you want. You want an explosive team like Rice going against Charlotte, right? Going against a weak team with a weak defense. And this is where the Texas game that Rice plays comes into play. Slow motion playing Charlotte, right? Hawaii, right. Wyoming, 13 and a half. Where are you? 13 and a half, 44 and a half to Hawaii. Wyoming, quarterback's been playing well. They're much better at home. Hawaii, I don't know. They beat Air Force last week. Now Air Force quarterback got hurt, but still didn't get hurt unless they were all turnovers. Middle Tennessee, 7.5, 47.5. UTEP is a W. Middle Tennessee's an E. Yeah. We'll get more into that. And let's go through the lines. Jacksonville State, 8.5. 54 to L Tech. Cincinnati, West Virginia. We've got West Virginia, 6.5, 55.5. West Virginia is one of these teams that's much better at home. Here it is. 6.5, 55.5. Yeah, West Virginia is an over team, but much better at home. Cincinnati's been playing weak. The 27 defenses. I think West Virginia, they're an explosive team. That's why I locked the over with Oklahoma, because when I looked at taking Oklahoma, I go, well, West Virginia is pretty fucking explosive. Let's not go there. Let's go West Virginia. Let's go over instead of Oklahoma. But I felt that, this is a much better way to play it. Utah, 1.5, 44 to Arizona. This is a great under, 44.5, under 50. Utah, they both have great defenses, and Utah's been getting better offensively. I mean, they put up 27 on Washington's pretty good. I'm struggling to see Washington's defense, if it's really that good or not. Oregon put up okay, but last week Utah put up 27 on them. I think they won 34-27 something. So I don't know how strong it is. Arizona's been very strong, so not sure. Probably an under. Maybe even Arizona as a home dog, I think, might be good. Duke, 3.5, 46.5. Duke, I don't know. Riley Leonard, I think, still out. The other quarterback's questionable, so we will see. It's early in the week, though, so I hate really going through injuries. I went through injuries last night. Yeah, it's Monday night. I'm watching the game, and it's like, yeah, I see it, but it's so far away from game time. I'm not sure the Riley Leonard injury we know about. The other one, so until Friday, then it's just not sure it's worth it. I mean, unless we see a game we want to bet now. Colorado State, 11.5, 47.5. Okay. 11.5, 40. That hasn't moved. Against Nevada. Nevada's a Z team. They give up 33 a game. Colorado State is an over team that gives up 30. Over under 47.5. So what are we going to get from Nevada? This is the struggle. If Nevada doesn't get anything, then we can take Colorado State, lay the 5. If Nevada's going to make it a game and score, then it's an easy over. So we got to research Nevada a little bit. North Texas, 2.5, 66.5. North Texas. 2.5, 66.5 to Tulsa. I like North Texas here. They're an explosive team. They score over 40, and they give up 38. So you're going to get high scoring games. Tulsa, I'm not sure is going to score for you in the over unders, and they give up 34. So if Tulsa doesn't score for you, then North Texas only laying 2.5 because they're not Alabama. If it was Alabama, they'd be laying 10, right? They only laid 2.5 here, so probably I got to check that out. I think North Texas could be a strong player. It's hard though because they don't have a defense. You prefer Tulsa to be a over team, and then you could bet the game over easily because North Texas is going to be playing a 50-point game. But you got 66.5 here. UAB 7.5, 64 to Temple. We got Texas State 4.5. 4.5, 59.5 to Arkansas State. Texas 4.5, 59. Texas State's an over team. Arkansas State's a W, gives up 30. So again, Texas State should kill them. Again, we're the Z team in both of these games. North Texas, Tulsa, Texas State we're playing against W teams, very explosive. Both could go over if they find quarterbacks, so we're not sure. Georgia 10.5, 58.5 to Tennessee. Tennessee's going to give them a little bit of a game for a little bit, but at the end of the day, Georgia should probably be. Tennessee's got a very good defense. We know Georgia does. We know it's revenge for Tennessee, but I don't think you can revenge Georgia. Not really sure. I think Georgia minus 4.5. Again, last week was against Ole Miss at home. This one's at Tennessee. They're going to bring it because they're scared because they could lose to Tennessee. That makes them play really strong. So not your ideal place to play Georgia. But we will see. We'll study it. VTech 2.5, 44.5. Actually, I should say we'll problem solve it because that's what I'm teaching today is problem solving. So here's the problem: Georgia 10.5 against Tennessee, and 58.5 over under. That's your problem. How do you solve it? Well, we look, is there anybody injured? What kind of team these are? What can they played a 26-12 game last year and they had Hooker and they just put up 50 on Alabama. So all these things go into account. They played Alabama 34-20 with a fumble touchdown by the quarterback, so it was really 27-20. But they'll get after them. They did move the ball on Alabama a little bit, but that's Alabama, not Georgia. They're not in the same league. Georgia, much better offense, better quarterback. Milrose wants to run the ball, but this Rat is very good passing. At Tennessee, give them a little bit of problems. But that's what you try to do is what is our method for solving this problem? The problem is getting the outcome of the game. High scoring, low scoring, Georgia or Tennessee. That's what we're going to do. And that's really what we do in all of life is the problem solving. Do I date this girl or that? How do I play poker? How do I play blackjack or craps? How do I understand the economy? I think VTech we did. And Clemson, 6.5, 58.5 to North Carolina. Not sure what we have with either team, to tell you the truth. May's not doing anything this year. He's not. It's not like he's 30-5 touchdown interception. Clemson, they come, they lose to Miami. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Iowa 3.5, 30.5 to Illinois. Let's see. All right, where's Iowa? I'm looking for the 30.5. Oh, there it is. It's the first game and it's buried in the middle. 3.5, 30.5. Iowa, we know, doesn't score. Good defense. Illinois, an even team. This has got to be an under. It's Iowa. I mean, you want to play. You think it's so low, I'm going to play it over, but they just don't. You don't do anything on it. It's all punts. And this won't be Illinois is terrible, but Iowa doesn't have any offense. Interesting. USC UCLA's played now. I thought this was the last game of the year. USC 6.5, 65.5. Just got beat Washington and Oregon back to back. Here comes UCLA. Is USC the type of team that after 2 losses is going to be able to do anything against UCLA? Now, we got to look at UCLA's quarterback. Over under 65. I don't like this game at all. Over so we have to see what is going on with the quarterback. USC, we know, is an explosive over team. UCLA is a very strong defense, very strong underplay. So this is one of those over versus under, who wins. Troy 16.5 over Lou Lafayette. Sixteen and a half, 46.5 to Lou Lafayette. Lou Lafayette's an over. Troy's a B team that's been playing really good. Where's my mouse? Okay. Waiting to get my screen back. What a day. I'm getting these errors. I got my YouTube's fucked up. Not good. Troy 16, 46.5. I just found it. 29 defense. Troy, I have to check Lou Lab now. I know they got some quarterback issues. Probably Troy here. I had Troy last week, and they blew out somebody. Baylor, TCU 12.5, 58.5. Against Baylor. Baylor's been playing bad. TCU's really not that strong this year. Kind of an over team. 20. They played Texas pretty good. Baylor's just terrible. Their defense stunk. I don't know if Baylor's going to score enough. Maybe an over, but this isn't the same Baylor team we're accustomed to. Western Kentucky. And my clock's still okay. Western Kentucky 12.5, 52.5. to Sam Houston. Sam Houston, a W team. Western Kentucky's an over with the 28. Sam Houston is a 26. I don't know, maybe an over. Let's see what Sam Houston looks like. Notre Dame, 24.5, 46.5 to Wake Forest. Notre Dame, I don't know. They've been having their troubles this year. Terribly coached, terrible offensive coordinator. You got a guy like Hartman, you should be lighting it up. They give up 17. A strong defense, balanced offense. Wake Forest, under team, gives up 25. I think Notre Dame kills them, but I don't know what their offensive coordinator's problem is. Air Force in Vegas. Air Force 3.5, 47.5. Hasn't moved. We got to check the quarterback if he's playing. And Vegas is a very strong defense. They'll score on them. So we'll have to see what. It's all up to the Air Force because they're coming off a loss to Hawaii pretty bad. Let's see. ULMV just killed Wyoming. Yeah, Mayava. He might be questionable. Yeah, he's good, Mayava. Let's see. He's fine. Yeah, Air Force, no injuries. How about the quarterback? Why isn't he listed? Ohio State, 27.5, 48.5. To Minnesota. Yeah, Ohio State's going to kill him here. 10 defense, Minnesota with the 20. Ohio State they'll probably get into the 40s here. Minnesota might score a little, but not too much. The problem with Ohio State, they got up 35-0, 35-3, and then that was it. They stopped. They won 38-3. I mean, they didn't score in the second half. So you don't know what to think of them. Like, I'm laying 28 here. Are you going to cover it? Oregon, 23.5, 53.5 to Arizona State. Arizona State, I have as a W team. They give up 27. Oregon, we know how good they are. Oregon on the road is not as good as Oregon at home. Arizona State, trying to figure them out. Overall, they're not good. Let's look at their last four. They beat UCLA 17-7, lose to Utah 55-3, beat Washington State, and then lose a close one to Washington 15-7, lose to Colorado State, lose to Cal, lose to SC. So in their last, let's go back to the USC game. They score in the 20s, then 7 against Washington, 3 against Utah. You're playing Oregon, who is a very good defensive team. They're a 17. I would say this will be like the Washington game. They at Washington 15-7. And this game is at home. They won against Washington State. They lost to Colorado at home, and USC they get beat by. Oak State at home. Okay, so there you have it. So the last 5, they scored 38 on Washington State, then a 3, a 7, a 17, a 24. They're not going to score on Oregon. They gave up, 42, then a 24. So let's look at 42 to USC, 24 to Cal, 27 to Colorado, 15 to Washington. I don't know what happened there. 27 to Washington State, 55 to Utah, and UCLA had quarterback issues. Let's see who exactly quarterbacked. Schlee, and then he got hurt. Yeah. And then Borquet, but I thought Borquet got hurt for Arizona State. He was 19 of 34, 149 with one inter. They're not getting quarterback play. So we'll see who UCLA starts, but they have quarterback issues, so they're not going to score. So USC is going to score on them. And Oregon, Arizona State, even if Bouquet is the quarterback, he's not very good. 23. Yeah, I think Oregon. Do I go under 59? Do I go over 47? Hard to say. They're not scoring a lot. I don't think Arizona State scores in this game. You could probably go under and lay the 17 or whatever. Oak State, Houston. Oak State let us down last week, 6.5, 59.5 to Houston. Oak State with the best player in college football, running back Ali Davis. There were 27 defense. Houston's a 30 defense. So Oak State should not be bothered. They did, had a huge 5-game win streak and then went to UCF. I don't know that they're going to have the same problem against Houston. Houston's not as strong as UCF. The quarterback does kind of run a little bit, but they have a 30 defense. Oak State should win the game. They've been playing well, but they got to use their running back, clear and simple. New Mexico State, Auburn. Auburn 23.5 and 48.5 to New Mexico State. So, Auburn scored a lot last week. Thorne, New Mexico State. Pavia is questionable. So I think if it comes down to Pavia, if he plays, it's not really where I like to play a New Mexico State versus an Auburn. I like to play him in conference. I'm not sure I like to play him against Auburn, but as good as New Mexico State is, I really don't want to play Auburn. So that's probably a watch. Texas Tech, UCF. Texas Tech 2.5. Texas Tech beat Kansas because Bean got hurt. UCF killed Oak State, so it's very confusing. 59.5. I don't know. I mean, I think it's an over game, over 60-54. I mean, UCF, neither team's really got a defense. Texas Tech, only reason they held Kansas down was the quarterback got hurt. UCF's quarterback's healthy, so I think this is an over game. You got a nice 60. All you need is 54. Yeah, you'll get that in this game. So you got to look at, when you analyze, you've got to analyze everything. So you're analyzing, why did Kansas lose? Oh, Kansas, because Bean got hurt in the first quarter, the quarterback. Well, without their quarterback, they're already on their second string quarterback. So without Daniels is out, here's the second stringer. Okay, they're doing great, but then he gets hurt and they don't have a third stringer. Maybe they do, but he just doesn't play. So that's why you need to look at that. So when we look at Kansas, I don't know, have we got to Kansas yet? I don't think so. No, they got Kansas State. That'll be an interesting one. I mean, I lost Kansas Air Force because I lost my quarterbacks in the first quarter. I mean, how do you factor that in? The math lovers, doing the whole thing. It's extremely, you can't predict that. Oh, my quarterback. Let's say I'm gonna bet against Ohio State and the quarterbacks because the quarterback's going to get hurt in the first quarter. You have no idea. You can't make that bet. You can't make that bet for that reason. All right, South Alabama 10.5 over Marshall. And 51. And South Alabama, I think their quarterback's back. Marshall, the running back Ali is back and playing very well. He's a very good running back. South Alabama, the B team gives up 21. Marshall's been an E team giving up 29. If Ali plays well, I hate when he's playing well, and then you read the box score and you got 5 carries for 10 yards. You're like, why aren't you giving the ball to the running back? So this one I don't know yet. Old Dominion and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is 6.5, 60.5. Old Dominion I like. They're an E team, give up 27. Georgia Southern is a very strong team, also an O team. Again, it's Sun Belt, so you really don't know what's going to happen. There's a few teams you can count on, App State and Troy, but I don't know here. Cal and Stanford, here we go. We've got page 2, Cal and Stanford. We got Cal -7, 58.5. This should be an over game. Cal's an over team. Very good offense. Both teams have 37 defense here. Stanford was getting better. Their quarterback is listed as questionable. Daniels. I think they're all named Daniels. I think there's another Daniels. This is the third Daniels at quarterback. If he's out, I like Cal -1. They'll kill him. If he's in, I love the over at 50. The over here is 58. So we're analyzing the injury, and we see the quarterback, and we say, well, if he plays, they're very good offensive, and they'll score a lot. And if he doesn't play, then you got to look at the backup for help, which who knows. K-State 9.5, 56.5 to Kansas. Kansas Bean is listed as probable, the quarterback. They're at Kansas. This should be a war. I like the dog here if Bean plays. And probably even better, I like the over 50. Kansas State's got a decent defense, 18, but Kansas proved when they went to Oklahoma and put up 39 on Oklahoma that doesn't mean anything. So I think in Kansas, with being there, Kansas State explosive as hell. I love the game over 56-50. Absolutely. Boise and Utah State. Boise 3.5, 64.5. Over versus over. You got Utah State gives up 32. Boise 27. This is definitely an over with these two teams, but now it's getting to a 64. I like when I find the 58s and 59s that are over, like the App State game. See, the App State James Madison's 55. I only need 49.5 to win. Here I need 64. I need 58. It's just a little bit harder, but very doable with both defenses sucking and both offenses being good. Kentucky 1.5, 53.5. No, there it is. Kentucky's an over team. The defense isn't what it appears. It looks lower, but it's a 30. South Carolina over team with Rattler and a 29 defense. So if this is true, then this is an easy over because you've got a 30 defense and a 29 defense. I know Rattler and Kentucky. So we have to see if everybody's playing and how they've been playing. South Carolina beat like a weak team, like a Sun Belt team last week. Kentucky, we know, got killed by, what was that? Georgia put up 75 on them. So their defense is not as strong as you think. So, no, Georgia was beating up on Old Mississippi. Alabama was beating up on Kentucky. So South Carolina should have a big day throwing, and so will Kentucky. So That's a good over, and it's 53. All we had to do is go over 47. We need to check injuries. Oregon State, 2.5, 63.5. Up from 1.5. Wow. I can get Washington at 8.5. Holy shit. So I got to check Washington, but this is this is a very strong dog. I do think it's an over because we know Washington can score, day and night, and then Oregon State, ooglia booglia, but they're much better at home. So I hate to go there. I gotta check for injuries here before we move on. Washington. Wide receiver, Boston and Jackson are questionable. And that's it. I mean, okay, but I'm sure they got a lot of good receivers. And, they're questionable, and it's Tuesday. I mean, the game ain't till Saturday. So, Washington's a strong dog there. Wow. West Virginia's got 3 linebackers out as long as I was there. Playing Cincinnati. We'll have to think about. See, that's all part of the problem solving. Well, this is who I like. Where's the games at? What's the spread? Who's the dog? What type of teams there are? Let's look at the injuries. Oh, wait, the quarterback, the linebackers are out. Here, problem solved. We got Washington as a dog. They went from 2.5-point favorites to 2.5-point dogs. Something doesn't make sense here. But I don't see an injury. I don't know. Penix isn't injured. The defense, okay. Washington's a 24 and Oregon State's a 20. It's at Oregon State. But if Washington State was a 7-point favorite, you could make the case for Oregon State plus 13.5. But Oregon State being a 2.5, 3-point favorite at home to Washington. Now Washington's a home dog, a road dog. They're a dog, let's say. I mean, that's ridiculous. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be hard to pass up on Washington getting 8.5. Wow. All right. Arkansas, 29.5, 51.5. To Florida International. Florida International is a W team with the 29 defense. Arkansas is an even with the 27 defense, so we'll have to get a little bit more into this. But Arkansas has not been playing well. Their offense is non-existent, and Florida International is terrible. So does Arkansas beat anybody by 30? Interesting. I'm noticing the clock's still like a 5-second instead of every second, whatever. Missouri, 11.5, 58.5 to Florida. Florida is scoring. They give up 27. Missouri's an 18 that just kicked the shit out of Tennessee. Missouri, man, they're playing red hot. All right, they lost to Georgia, but it was fairly close. And they took it out on Tennessee, and they're home to Florida at home. Yeah, gotta like Old Missouri. Then the question is over or under. Florida is an over team. They are scoring, but they don't have their defense is a 27. So maybe you can go over 52. You know you're going to get 40 points by Missouri. So we'll see. Wisconsin, 6.5, 36.5. I don't see how you can bet either. Both teams suck. Both teams are good, are unders. This is an under game right here. Wisconsin, 37.5, go under 43.5. Neither team scores. Both have defenses. Neither team's got a quarterback. Neither team's got anything. Definitely should be a low-scoring game here. Syracuse, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech 6.5, 53.5. Syracuse, as soon as they started playing good teams, they fell apart. Georgia Tech's pretty strong. They lost to Clemson by 20, which is what I was debating about. So they lost like 42-21. Clemson, good defense. They'll score on here. What will Syracuse do? Though Georgia Tech's an over team, gives up 31. So this could be an over game. Syracuse, I think, scored a little last week. If I can find them quickly. Syracuse. Yeah. They beat Pitt 28-13. Pitt's got a pretty good defense. So they finally scored. So I like this game over. Because Georgia Tech's very explosive with the weak defense. So if Syracuse put up 28 last week, maybe they're starting to come around, getting some injuries back or something. But we only need 47, and we got Georgia Tech, who's explosive, might do it by themselves. Yeah, we like that. LSU 30.5, 71 to Georgia State. Georgia State's an over team, gives up 29. LSU's an over team that gives up 29, but these can't be further from apples and oranges. LSU's doing it in the SEC. Georgia State's doing it in the Sun Belt or the Conference USA or whatever. Big difference. LSU will light it up. They'll score 60 here, I think. Daniels just lights it up. They lost to Alabama, so they have to win. Well, it's not a conference game, so they'll blow them out Saturday night. The question is, what does Georgia State do? But I think this is either Ellen. Now Bobby will take the money line, so he'll play so really, what he's doing is he's playing a 30-point teaser. It's a one-team 30-point teaser, and his odds go from laying 11-10 to laying 3-1 against, or lay 400 to win 100. Should be high scoring. We just got to factor in Georgia. Let's take a look at that. I'm curious. We know what LSU did with Alabama and these other teams. Georgia. Okay, so here's Georgia State. They've given up 44 to Georgia Southern, 42 to James Madison, and 42 to App State their last three games. They scored against Marshall. But, I mean, so they've scored 14, 14, and 27, giving up 44, 42, 42. How many points do you think LSU is going to get? They lost Troy 28-7. They did beat UConn, so there you go. But 40 points against Charlton and 40 points against Rhode Island don't count. So if we look at the last 5 games, let's go back to Troy. 15, 30, 60, 80, 107 divided by 3, 6. 107 divided by 6 is 15 times 6 is 90. So let's say 17 a game. So they're only scoring 17. So are they really an over? No, they're really a 17. And then giving up for the 7 games, 30 and 40 is 70, 70 and 40, 80, 120, 160, and 30 is 190. Divide that by 6, 35. So they're really like a 34, let's call it. And they're really a Z team their last 6 games, not an over team. See how you have to dig into the macro look. The macro look is against Rhode Island and Charlton and UConn. But the micro look, the in-conference look, they're giving up 40 points to everybody. I mean, well, look at Georgia Southern. Southern, James Madison, App State. Well, LSU's a little bit better than those teams offensively. So are you going to get points from Georgia Southern or from Georgia State? Well, they scored 7 on Troy and 14 on James Madison. So I'm going to bet you're not going to get a lot. So I don't know you can go over 71 here. The only way it's getting there is if LSU's putting up the 70, but if they're laying 30. So I think this is a LSU play all the way. They've been scoring a ton against Alabama's and everything. So Texas, 7.5, 47.5 to Iowa State. Interesting game. Texas's starter quarterback came back. They struggled at TCU. They're going to struggle, I think, with Iowa State, who did get blown out by Oklahoma. Let's not forget that. Texas with they both have good defenses, I think. I think Texas has a good defense. What was it last week? They beat TCU 29-26. Pretty good to keep TCU to 26. Iowa State, so this should be in the 20s. So I think under 53. I don't know. Is Iowa State a live dog? Is it something you want to play? Do you want to risk taking Iowa State against Texas? Is that a good risk? Texas, Oklahoma, they're even. Oregon, Washington, they're even. Oregon State, Washington, they're not. Washington's better, and I'm getting the dog. Here I'm getting the dog with Iowa State. Are they as good as Texas? I don't think so. Oklahoma showed you how bad they are. So this is where it becomes risk reward. Do I want to take more risk taking Iowa State against Texas? It's a good question. I don't know that I do. Fresno State 23.5, 56.5 to New Mexico. New Mexico's an over team, I think, giving up 36. Fresno State's an 18. Mikey Keene is shaken up, but it looks like he didn't play much last week. San Jose State killed him. So they're off of a loss at home to New Mexico. And really, let's see New Mexico. Against Boise, they lost 42-14. And against Vegas, they lost 56-14. So they're not scoring, even though they're supposedly an over team. So Dan Fear, I don't know, he's the backup. 17-26, 200 yards. And then they don't have much running. Excuse me. I don't know what I'm going to do with New Mexico. 23.5 points by Fresno State. I show New Mexico as an over, and yet the last 3 games, they played Nevada 24-34. And then Vegas, they gave up 56, and Boise, they gave up 42. So they have no defense, which is what I got, but I don't know that they got the over team. 56 against Tennessee Tech, 34 on UMass. And in conference, they've been 20s, 42 to Hawaii. And that, so they got Fresno State is a good team off of a loss. Fresno State's the play here if Mikey Keene's okay, the quarterback. And last but not least, San Diego State, San Jose State. San Jose State, 14.5, 49.5. They're strong. Cordero, good quarterback. They just killed Fresno State. And 28-27. I don't know. Are you guys trying to leave comments? I haven't gotten any since Alex a while ago. I didn't touch anything. I certainly should get them, so I don't know. But if you're trying to leave a comment, I can't see it since the Alex Western Michigan 11. San Jose State, 14.5. San Diego State, 28-27. San Diego State. How bad is San Diego State? So we'll have to see. 14 and a half, 49 and a half. Two bad defenses. Question is, will San Diego State score for you? Here's the problem solving part. What does San Diego State do here? Do they score 20 points? Then we go over. It's 49. If they don't score, we go. So this is the battle you have. This is what's going to happen in the game. Well, by looking at it now, do we get points from San Diego State? They don't score a lot. Well, let's take a look at it. San Jose State, we know good quarterback scores, fairly decent defense. San Diego State lost 22-19 to Colorado State. They put up 24 on Utah State. They got shut out by Nevada. They put up 41 on Hawaii, 10 on Air Force, 31 on Boise, 9 on Oregon State, 10 on UCLA. They're all over the place. So let's just do conference. 82. Excuse me. So we don't know what we're getting here. I mean, sometimes they score, sometimes they don't. Let's go to the Utah State game. Maiden 25-39. See, I think he's out. Maiden. So let's quickly go to injuries. San Diego State has no injuries. So what are they going to do for us? This is the problem. They're so inconsistent. We don't know what we're getting. San Jose State does give up 27. Let's see if that's even true. San Jose State. Yeah, I mean, the last three games, they beat Fresno 42-18. Hawaii 35-0 doesn't really count. Utah State 42-21. New Mexico 52-24. So the last four, they're not giving up a lot with the 49-14. San Jose State probably wins by 8.5, I think. I think that's the lowest thing. I don't think we can. So there you have it. Let's go through some of the key games. So then we get into, okay, who's off of a loss? And we go through, we're not going to count the MAC teams. Pitt's off of a loss. Does that matter? Did Colorado win last week? Well, that doesn't really matter. Ohio State won big. West Virginia's out, got killed by Oklahoma, so they should play good. Michigan, USC's off of 2 losses in a row. I don't know. USC, they just don't have a defense, and I think they're filling out Caleb Williams. I mean, Washington, he lit up Washington. He lit up a little bit Oregon. They just don't have defense. I mean, the coach that's been his problem the whole time. Comes in, He's a good offensive coordinator. He's not a good head coach. Oklahoma was off of 2 losses, killed West Virginia, looked for them to kill BYU. Oregon beat USC. They go to the cannot afford to lose. They're laying 23 to Arizona State seems a bit much. Look for them to, win pretty good. Oak State, Houston. Oak State was for the conference title. Now they're slipping, so I don't think they can afford to lose. I don't know if they can get there, but they did beat Oklahoma, so I think they can beat Houston. Ole Miss got killed by Georgia, and they're playing Lou Monroe. Look for this score to be in the 70s. See, it's funny. You think you're good until you play Alabama and Georgia, and then you go, we're not very good. It's sort of like the Lions listening to Detroit on the way back from swim, and they're all excited. And they think they're good, and then you look at who did they beat, and we did lose to Baltimore and Seattle, and we gave up 38 to San Diego. Yeah, maybe we're not that good. We're good against weak teams, but nobody wants to say that. They just want to say, look how good the Lions are. We look good beating Green Bay, Carolina, Oakland, and then you get San Diego, and they couldn't stop them. I guess the last 5 times San Diego, they scored touchdowns. I mean, I did see 17-3, and then they couldn't hold it. The coach, he's a total bullshitter. So I heard the coach today, they were trying to make him sound good about the defense being so bad. And he said, well, it's just some minor stuff we can work on. People out of position. Oh, so 5 drives in a row, you've given up 35 points, and you're telling me that there was people out of position for the whole drive. Somehow I don't think, and he kept double talking. He kept just rumbling and bumbling on and not saying a word, just like half these finance guys do. And you just sat there like, this guy's he's bullshitting. He's trying to say they have a terrible defense, and he's trying to make it sound like they have a good one. Then he's trying to use that as why he went for 4th down at the 30 instead of kicking the field goal to take the lead. Why he supposedly went for it on 2 because he didn't want to give the ball back, and he went with that much time left. What if you don't get it? You lose the game. Do you realize it's win or lose? That's it. You're going to lose the game if you don't make the field, if you don't make the 4th down, you lose the game. I don't think he understands the concept. I really don't. And the San Diego coach is just as bad, and so is the Oregon coach. I don't think they understand the concept of, if I don't make it on 4th down, what happens? Because I don't get it. You're playing again. You're looking at it. Well, it's 4th down. We'll just go for it. We'll make it, and that's ridiculous. I mean, that's going to kill you. You do that against the Niners, like I said. You do it against the better defensive teams, the Niners, KC, Philadelphia. You're fucked. Cincinnati, you're fucked. You're not going to do crap on them. And that's the problem with it. They don't realize it's a turnover, and therefore they don't realize it's a turnover, and therefore they're playing with fire, because it's when they don't make it, it's a turnover. And how many games did they lose when they didn't make it? I know San Diego made it interesting with Minnesota, where the guy goes for it and doesn't get it, and Minnesota has the ball at the 20-yard line, down 4 with like a minute left, and and fortunately San Diego held them out. But what are you, insane? So that's I just wanted to say. So he kept double talking, and he kept, God knows what he was saying. He wasn't saying any of it. The words were coming out, but they weren't coherent. He's just mumbling around. Well, we just got to get the players in position. We can do this. We can fix it. You can't fix it. you don't have a secondary. You can't fix that. You can't all of a sudden have a secondary, and you don't get a pass rush. So they didn't sack Herbert once. So they look good against Vince Young, and they look good against Mayfield, and they look good against Love because they're mobile and they don't know what they're doing. They take too long to throw it, so they get the sacks. But when you get in against Lamar, who's not even a good quarterback, and Herbert and Geno Smith, who's not really a good quarterback, they see it and they get rid of the ball. So you don't get the sack. They didn't sack all three of those guys. They didn't even get a sack. Anyway, it just shows you that, like, they're talking about the Lions playoffs and Super Bowl, and like, this team is not winning the Super Bowl. They're not going to the Super Bowl. They are not going to beat the Niners, and they can't. It's going to be the Niners and the Eagles. We all know that. Detroit is not anywhere near those teams. They do not have the defense. You win with defense. They don't have the defense. That's why Cincinnati's been good, and that's why Kansas City's good, and that's why Buffalo doesn't get there. They don't have the defense. Miami has no chance. They don't have a defense. You don't win with offense. Look when Tay gets in a big game, what, he loses to KC, loses to Buffalo. Is off of a loss. So we got USC off of but 2 losses. UCLA is off of a loss, 17-7. It's all based on UCLA's quarterback. This is a big game, so usually you play the dog in this, but we'll see if UCLA's got quarterbacks to do it with. Look for Oklahoma off their 2 losses to keep rolling. Oregon has to win. They've got the loss. This week, look for them to come back. I don't know if it's the best place. Houston played Texas strong at home as a home dog. We'll see. Look for Ole Miss to kill Lou Monroe as they are off of a 51-10 loss to my Georgia team. So that humbles you. So they're off a loss. This is a non-conference game against the Z team. They'll kill them. Penn State, Rutgers, Penn State off their 2nd loss. They lost to Ohio State. Now they lose to Michigan. Rutgers just doesn't have the quarterback to do this. Over under 42, I think, is a bit low. Penn State played Maryland. They put up 50 points by themselves. I think they score pretty good here. I don't think you're going to get 20-12 against Rutgers here. This is an over 42. Rutgers can run a little. They do lack the offense, so maybe it's a Penn State, but definitely there. Louisville, Miami, interesting game. Van Dyke will play because the other guy got hurt, but why wasn't Van Dyke playing against Florida State last week? Unbelievable, terrible coaching, terrible offensive coordinator. How they beat Clemson, I have no idea. Are they going to beat? They just played Florida State, so they're off the loss. Here comes Louisville. I don't know. I don't know how good Louisville is, and how good are they at Miami versus at home. They seem to get all these games at home this year. Excuse me. Troy, I like 16.5 over Lulav. I've been betting Troy, James Madison. These are good teams to bet on. Although this week, James Madison's got App State, who's also a very explosive team. So this probably goes over. Troy gets Lou Lafayette. We got to check out their quarterback. Troy's very strong. Clemson, North Carolina looks like a good game. Clemson's 6.5, 58.5. North Carolina has been playing. They're an over team with the 26 defense. And See, North Carolina can only go down because as you start taking the high school games out, when they win 63-0, they don't look as strong. And Clemson is very inconsistent. They lose to Miami. They lose to Duke. I mean, they're not as strong. Notre Dame should kill Wake. Notre Dame, well, they've already lost 3 games this year. It's at home. I don't know. Their offensive coordinator is so bad. Georgia, Tennessee, very good game. I think Georgia minus 4.5 should be okay. You know, strong team, strong defense. I don't think Tennessee's going to do a lot of scoring here. Not against this defense. So, yeah, I think Georgia minus 4.5 because they get some touchdowns on their defense. All of a sudden, there's a pick 6, and then Katie bar to the door. They start running down your throat. A couple touchdowns later. Cal Stanford, we got to check Stanford's quarterback. If he's out, this is a Cal game. If he plays, I think you go over because they both have 37 defenses. And in this type of game, you're going to get a lot of scoring. Kansas State, excellent game. K-State's the A team. Kansas is the over team. Kansas did beat Oklahoma. They are much better at home. They got Bean hurt, so that hurt them last week. If Bean plays all the game, they win. Bean looks like he's playing. He's probable. So I think Kansas in 16 or over 50. We have to really figure it out. But as far as I know, if Bean plays, I think this goes over. Kansas just scores, and they're going to – Kansas State's not going to stop them. I think this is a revenge game from last year. I think K-State killed them last year. Let's take a look at that. Well, that is if I can find the game. They put the games in and then they change them for the time, but I'm writing them in on Sunday. And so I'm going, oh, okay, well, here's the games. And then they switch it around, and then I'm all screwed up with my they're not in order. Yeah, let's see. Where is it's got to be here somewhere, right? Oh, yeah, it's a page 2. Here it is. So last year, yeah, Kansas State beat them 47-27. Kansas State beat them 35-10, 55-14, 38-10, 21. Kansas State has won every game. Wow. So Kansas cannot get a win here. But they're usually high scoring. Last year was 47-27, 55-14, 35-10. So Kansas State's got their number. 56. We will have to see, but Kansas State's won the last 10. So I think Kansas will be motivated. We don't care if they win. We got 16 points or we got over 50. But if Kansas plays them well, it will go over. So Kansas State's got an 18 and Kansas got a 26 defense. I think it's over 50 is probably good, or Kansas 16. Washington against Oregon State. We've actually got Washington as a 2.5-point dog. To Oregon State to Uglia Buglia. Gotta love Washington here. 8.5. Florida, Missouri. We're riding the hot hand. Go Missouri. Beat Army. 11.5 down to 5.5. Florida doesn't show a lot. Nebraska, Wisconsin under. And Texas, Iowa State. Interesting game. And that's it. New Mexico, Fresno State. And then San Diego State, San Jose State. So that's your biggest games. So Michigan 20 and 50 to Maryland. Interesting game. Michigan just keeps rolling. I don't see them. I don't see how they don't kill Maryland. I mean, you just killed Penn State. You're going to kill Maryland. That's just normal. So that's college. Now we'll get more into it. So now, okay, how do you determine the probability? How do you analyze the probability of picking the winner, of picking the outcome? So now you're problem solving. So how do you problem? You got all these flavor of the team picking the winner. So let's look at Michigan and Maryland. Michigan's an 18. They give up 7 a game. Maryland's an 18, gives up 22, got killed by Ohio State, got killed by Penn State. So the good teams they got killed by. Here comes Michigan. Michigan doesn't give a shit if it's at home or in Maryland. Probably better. You're not with the reporters and all the other crap going on at Michigan. So 22 and a 7 defense. So I think you've got still 3 interceptions. Michigan, you can't. Maryland's a 22. Penn State is a 13. That's a huge difference. What we thought we did it under, and it went under. There wasn't a lot of. There was just the 44, and the way Michigan plays, they're just going to pound it. They're going to run it down your throat, and then they're going to pound it. And I still think you get over. I think Maryland can score a touchdown in the game, and their defense sucks. And I think Michigan can travel well because when you run and play defense, then it doesn't matter where you play at, right? So I think Michigan kills them. But this is how you problem solve. What chance does Maryland have? None. They don't have a defense. They've got a 22 defense. It's probably a lot worse than that. Ohio State put up, 47 on them, and Penn State put up 59 on them. So they're getting a good defense because you're looking at the whole macro picture. So if we break down the last 5 games, which I'll do later, then you see they're probably a 26-27 defense. Michigan, we have no idea because they've played one team. So let's use Penn State. They have a 15 defense because that's what they do with Penn State. We keep hearing about these 2-point conversions. I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday. It's incredibly stupid. Why you go for 2? The problem is, okay, you're problem solving. Should I go for 2 or not? Does it give me a better chance to win if I go for 2? Well, it's what if I miss? I lose momentum. See, this is the thing, this in the 4th down. If I don't get it, I've lost the momentum I've gained on the touchdown, or if I'm 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, I'm fucked too, because what do I do with it? So that's really the point that nobody's really asking. But that's what you do with these 2-point conversions. I would only do it. Look at Penn State, 2 points twice. They didn't get it. They lost 2 points. They'd have lost by 7. If they just kicked the extra points, it would have been 17. They'd have lost 24-17, but it would have given them hope. One more touchdown and we can tie it. If you miss, you're down 9, you're fucked. I don't understand. I was listening, and James Franklin was talking about, why did you go for 2? We're chasing points. And I'm like, but this is Michigan. You're not going to get a 2-point conversion. And the problem is now you're down 9. If you just kick your extra point, you're down 8. Then I could score again. I'm down 8. I can tie it. But if I miss the 9, now I'm fucked. And that's what happened. He missed the 9. The game was over. Had he made both just kicked the extra points, he's down 7. He just needs a touchdown and then an extra point. He's tied and going to overtime. Well, you don't want overtime? No, we want to win the game. What, are you kidding me? So I don't buy any of this 4th down. The only time is I watched Michigan Ohio State in 1974. The field goal miss, and in the game, Bo gets down to the 2-yard line twice, or the 1-yard line, and he doesn't kick the field goal either time, and they lose by 2 points. Oregon did it twice with Washington. They got down there deep and didn't go for the field goal and lost by 3. And it's just nobody's pointing that out. Right? You're not pointing out that you just cost us the game by not kicking the field goal. Oh, I like that they're aggressive. That's all I hear from all the reporters. I like that they're aggressive. Is that part of their pregame? Okay, if they go for 4, you like that they're aggressive. So do we have any analysts who have a brain in their head, or are they all idiots? Troy Aikman, you think Jimmy Johnson went for it on 4th down? Not in your life. Never did he go for it because he had defense. So it's a weird game right now. I don't really understand it. But all I know is that, like yesterday with Buffalo, they had 3 turnovers. Denver wins the game. The kicker misses the first one. Like, really? I was happy. Yeah, I was happy we won the money line, although I didn't bet. I took. So now we problem solve. We problem solve in Oklahoma, BYU, and you come up with factors why you should or shouldn't take Oklahoma, BYU over or under. And a lot. Then you make the bet, and then both teams score, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Or neither team scored. Or the other team takes the lead. The Dogs gets a couple of pick sixes, and you're down 14-0 with the favorite. And you're like, what's going on? That's how a lot of times these weak teams score. Now, I'm not getting to that point where I'm pulling out defensive touchdowns or punt return touchdowns versus offensive touchdowns, because you get all kinds of touchdowns in a game you can't pick. So that's what you do is you look, okay, where's Alabama? They're not playing this week. They're playing like Notre Dame High School or something. Okay, Georgia. Okay, Michigan, Ohio State. Where are the Z teams? Where are the A teams? And so really the best way to bet is against the Z teams because they're so bad, you don't have to worry about them. Let's go through Z teams real quick. We got Akron tonight. We got Pitt Thursday night. We got Michigan State Saturday. Louisiana Monroe against Old Mississippi Saturday. You might see an 80-point game here by Ole Miss. We got Kent and Ball State, both Z teams, playing each other, so you can't get a break there. Nevada's a Z team, and I've checked and I go, are they really a Z team? They beat Hawaii 6-0 or San Diego State 6-0, but they are. I mean, they don't score and they give up 33 games. So now part of that's skewed because I got to recheck that because part of it's skewed because they lost to USC 73-7 or something like that. So that skews everything. That makes their defense look far worse and their offense far worse. I think they played Kansas pretty good. Colorado State wasn't looking good, and then they played Colorado. See, Colorado State got one of these. I think they played USC and lost 65-7. And I go, oh, they're a Z team, and they're not. And then now they start scoring, and that USC 70-point game still hanging over them, where they give up 30 points a game, but they don't. So. All right, let's see. Anybody else? Georgia State, I'm calling a Z team looking at their last 5. Now let's look at the A teams. So, Z team, Georgia State, Kenton Ball State, Nevada, Louisiana Monroe, Michigan State, Pitt, Akron tonight. Now, some of these are W's, but I'm not going to go through the W, who you want to bet against. But let's go through the A teams. We got Toledo tonight. We've got Ohio State. We've heard of them. We've got Michigan. We've heard of them. We've got Oklahoma. We've heard of them. We've got Oregon. We've heard of them. So here, Oregon's playing a W team, so they should kill them. BYU, who's just played terrible. Penn State and Louisville are A teams. SMU. So just because you're in a smaller conference, there's still an A team like today, Toledo. There's still strong teams in the conference. They're just not A team versus Ohio State, but in the conference, SMU's an A team. Liberty, an A team. James Madison, my boys. Notre Dame, the Air Force, Georgia, and Tennessee. Although there's a big gap between Georgia and Tennessee. Kansas State playing very strong. Washington and Oregon State. Missouri, Texas, Fresno State. So those are the strongest. The Z's are the weakest. Then you got a bunch of in-betweens, the B teams, the E teams. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is overs and under teams, over and under games. So Colorado, Washington State, 2 over teams should go over. Not all the time, but most of the time. I got a lot of O versus W's. I got 4 in a row. An O versus a B, it's kind of considered an over game because the in this case it's Troy Lou Lafayette. Troy will, the defense is good, but there'll be points. Boise, Utah State, over game. Kansas State, Kansas, really an over game. Kentucky, South Carolina. And that's it. And there's a few under games, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa State. Utah, Arizona is kind of an under game. So it's hard when there's an over game and an over team and an under team playing. Which way is the game going to go? Is it going to stay low? Look at Utah. They played USC, an over team versus an under team, and it went way over. Last week, Utah played. They played last week. I always get tired after swim. Utah played Washington to a 63-point game. So what do you take out of it? Are they really an under team? And then did they change court? Are they better than they appear? I think Washington putting up 35 on Utah was fabulous. So they got Oregon State. Well, Oregon State's not a better. What's Utah? Utah's a 17 and Oregon State's a 20. So I don't see that Washington doesn't put up a 35 on Oregon State. It's a 63 over under. Probably an over. Now, to get to the over, you need good quarterback play, good offenses, not necessarily weak defenses like a Bo Nix or Caleb Williams. Even against the strong defense, can light it up. Usually, the strong defense shuts down the quarterback. Like in Oregon against Colorado, I mean, Oregon just killed them, right? 44-6. So that's what you normally get. So you got to see. But I see sometimes when these two explosive teams play, one of them gets the stupidity in their head to run the ball and not let the guy be on the field. And that kind of that happens, and you don't know that that's going to happen. So problem solving is looking at the variables. But to problem solve, you got to understand what variables are meaningful. This is what I say why you can't do formulas. This is what I say when you want to do algorithms or something for football. And I go, do you have all the variables? Do you know what variables are important here? And you don't know that. You can't, Oklahoma off of 2 losses in a row. How do you put that in your formula? And what does it count for? And what does it mean? They won by 50 points. So I could get you to the same conclusion by saying Oklahoma's lost 2 games in a row. They're going to kill whoever. They got West Virginia. They're going to kill them. I got you the same thing without a formula. It's a lot of art, not science. So it's the feel and the figure out. And you got all these teams. So which game do you focus on, and which game do you come up with, and which game can you problem solve? And so how do you problem solve is looking at is how do they play? What kind of team are they? Do they have a great offense? Do they have a great defense? Both. How's their coach? How's their injuries? How do they match up? I think the key that you can't measure is the matchup. Can Washington, let's problem solve the Washington Oregon State game. Can Washington move on Oregon State? Really, this is the bottom line question you're asking. Can Washington move on Oregon State? Hell yes. They scored 30 some on Oregon, so not a problem. Can Oregon State move on Washington? Probably. They should. They could light it up. What do you now? Is there injuries? I don't think there was. I think I checked to see why they're dog. I didn't see Washington or Penix with an injury. So what's the matchup? They can both move on each other. Do I want to go over 57? Or in this case, because the line's fucked, I want to take Washington as the dog. And that's really what you get into now. It's risky. Oregon State's fairly good at home. Do I want Washington? Well, Washington has to win for the playoff because they've got a 1-game lead over Oregon. And if they lose this game, Oregon still has to play Oregon State. So this will be key. Now, Oregon's a little better defense than Washington, although they're both spectacular offensively. So we know Washington State beat Oregon State like 34-31. So that's what you're looking for are the keys. Do we think it's a live dog? We got Washington in 2.5. Holy shit. It should be Washington -7, right? So we've got the live dog. What is the spread? And then is it becoming because of injuries? That's a different story, but it doesn't look like it. So at the end of the day, that's what you're looking for. How does each team move on each other? How does the Oregon State defense going to handle Washington and vice versa? And that's usually the key to the game is usually in this situation is the Washington defense. Are they going to be able to stop Oregon State? Well, they stopped Oregon sometimes. Or are they not? Is Oregon State going to go up and down? Defense can stop either offense. I think this goes to 90 points, and I think Washington and 8.5. Now, again, I don't know. I mean, they beat USC, but they gave up points. But I don't think Oregon State's as good offensively as USC. So that's why you look at the teams. The stats give you the numbers. So Washington's an A team with the 24 defense. Oregon State's an A team with the 20 defense, meaning they both score in the 30s or 40s. And they both give up low points, so you're a little lenient. But that's why I don't put now. I used to put like what kind of defense they were. Now I just put the number down and say, fuck it. Washington gives up 24. We'll figure out what their defense is. Then you look at prior games of other teams. So you look at Washington, Oregon. You go, well, they put up 36 on Oregon. You look at Oregon State against whoever they played, and I think they beat USC or UCLA in a high-scoring game. So you start looking at other games to see how are they going to match up. Is Washington going to stop them or not, or drive? What can Oregon say? Well, let's see what Washington did against Oregon. Okay. What did Oregon State do against UCLA? Or, against, I don't think they played Oregon yet, against USC or Colorado or whatever. And that's really what you're seeing. So if you look at Oregon State, Colorado, if they played them or if they played USC, you look at the score and that's kind of what you think you're going to get here. Or in other words, if Colorado put up 30 on Oklahoma or on Oregon State, Washington's going to do more. They're a better team. So that's where you bring in history, you bring in like competition to see how they did against this team. I do that with the Lions. The Lions against Carolina, Green Bay, Oakland, they suck. Okay. The other teams they played suck. So the Lions look like this really good team. But then if they're playing San Diego, I look at, well, how did they do against Seattle? Very similar team. And how did they do against Baltimore? And they got killed both. They gave up 38 points in both games. So now I see them against the passing team. They are not the same team. They have trouble defensively. So that's where I'm going to common denominator. The same type of team. So if they get a weak defense, so the Lions get the Bears this week, what does it mean? Well, they have the grocery store clerk packing. Probably they're going to kill him, right? He probably won't do shit. The Lions will be more aggressive because they're not afraid of the grocery clerk like they are afraid of Herbert and Lamar, who didn't even get sacked in those games. But then in the other games, they get sacked. So if they're not worried about you, they just come after you. And I think that's what you're going to see here against the Bears. What do we got? We got Detroit 10 over the Bears. See, that's kind of a tough one. Well, they laid 4. I don't think they'll have a problem with 4. I think they just kind of beat them, and I don't think the Bears defense can do shit. The Bears let's see, what's the Bears? So the Bears, let's just take a look at this game. So the Bears are a W. They give up 26, means they score 20. Detroit's an over team. They score 28 and they give up 23. Chicago won't be able to take advantage of Detroit's weak secondary, although this grocery store clerk, he looks like he almost knows how to be a quarterback, unlike Fields and the rest of these bums. So that's my thought on that. So you're using that to problem solve the games. And that's what you're doing here. We are problem solving. We want to bet money on Washington getting 8.5 against Oregon State. We think that'll win. So we want to bet money on it. We problem solved it. We think that that's a good one to bet on. And that's really the key to it. I can find 20 to bet on, and then I got to come back in and go, well, wait. Now, last week I crushed everything. A couple of losers were the quarterbacks getting hurt, which if they got hurt before the game, I wouldn't have bet it. If Bean's out for Kansas against Texas Tech, I don't bet it. But now he's playing against K-State. But he was playing, so I had to bet it. Same thing with Air Force. You're betting those games based on what you think. But if there's injuries, then it throws the bet off. That's why you can't bet your whole bankroll on one game. You got to make sure you don't get the injury. So that's what you're looking. So now you're going through superficially each game. Oh, we like Troy. We like James Madison. We like Michigan. We like Ohio State. Boom, 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 boom. Now you go, do I want to bet all of them? And how do I bet all of them? I mean, there's so many picks. But because we've learned by problem solving the team, like we've discovered the right variables to use, right? Michigan against Penn State, both teams strong defense. Penn State doesn't have a receiver. They can't throw the ball 20 yards. Michigan's running the ball down your throat. Perfect under. We bet it under. We knew the variables to look at. Their defense. The defense is the key. That's why I like Denver over Buffalo. Was Denver's defense is playing very well right now. It's not the same against Miami. What does everybody look at? Well, they gave up 70 to Miami. Yeah, they gave up 7 to Kansas City. They've gotten better. They've got Sean Payton. He fixed the team. Now they're rolling. Look for them to make the playoffs. But you don't discount the team and say, oh, they suck. You can't do that. So that's what the problem solving is you sit there, how do I solve the problem? What is the problem? Picking the winner. Okay, how do I solve it? By looking at specific variables that you set up. And in this case, it's the quarterback, it's the coach, it's the offense and the defense, it's the injuries. Where's the game at? Then we look into part 2. Oh, wait, Oklahoma lost 2 in a row. They're going to be pissed. San Francisco lost 3 in a row. I bet the farm on Frisco. That's what you do then. So those extra variables come in where, like, Frisco lost to Minnesota after a loss was shocking. They made the field goal against Cleveland. They win that game. They probably win many. Okay, they lose to Joe Burrow. So does everybody else. And that's what you have. And that's the problem solve. But so to try to solve the problem, you have to know all the variables. So if we move it to craps, we're solving how do you win at craps? Well, you can't wait till the 7 knocks you out. You got to pull your money before the 7 happens. In poker, you're figuring out what the other player is. Is he aggressive? Is he a bluffer? Does he do everything? Does he do nothing? Does he wait till he's got a hand and play real tight? So what type of player do I have here? And in what type of situation? So if I check to set up his bluff, is he going to bluff me? So I got a good hand I'm going to check. And then he's going to make his bet, and I got him where I want him. And if I learn his tell, I don't tell him to tell. I can't believe I watch rounders and the guy's like going, oh, I spotted the tell he ate the Oreo cookie. And I'm like, why would you tell him that? Just so in the following 5 hours or whatever you're playing, and you got to win your money back, it's simple. If he eats an Oreo cookie, you fucking fold unless you've got the nuts. And if he doesn't eat the Oreo cookie, you make a bet. I mean, Why would you tell him that? And then for all your buddies, after going forward, would know if he eats too early, he's got a hand. And how, in the first place, did nobody spot it when he eats Oreos at the table? Who doesn't spot that tell? I tell you, if I'm in the hand and I make a bet and I do this and I drink my water, I am relaxed, because when you're bluffing, you tend to be very still, right? You tend to be, oh yeah, I hope he doesn't see the bluff. However, when you got a good hand, you're like relaxed, like, I got a good hand. Fuck you. You take a drink. I don't care. I'm gonna watch the game while you make up your mind, because I don't care, because I got a full house and I'm gonna kill you. So you get to tell some of the guys, but you got to look for them. But that's how you're playing poker. Your variable is the other players. What do they do? How do they really? The way to play poker, the variable is the betting from the other players. And what do they do? And when do they do it? If I check and he bets, is he bluffing? Like I said, this is a Russian girl, and I was playing at MGM downtown Detroit. She was a bluffer. So she'd make a big bet, but I caught her on, I had a straight or a flush or trips or something, and she tried to bluff me, and I caught her. Then, a few hands later, she's checking. And so I say to her, you're so obvious, your tells are crazy. Her tell was when she checked, she had a hand, because then she wanted you in. But if she didn't have a hand, she'd be bluffing you. Now, is she trying to bluff me because I can be bluffed? Or is she trying to, is that the only time you're making a big bet? Because I see when you got a hand, you're checking. So you're telling me by your betting how to problem solve you, right? And that's why sometimes I'm saying if you check, they might try to bluff you. If you bet, how do they react? So you're looking for a reaction. If you bet and they just check you, they probably don't have a hand, because they're not bluffing you. So they got a little hand to call you with. Then you got them. So you're coming up with all these different variables to problem solve the different people, but you're betting the people in poker. You're betting the guy and you're seeing how he bets to try to determine what he has, because you don't know his two cards, right? 2 cards and then 5 up. And so that's why you got to be careful. But that's what you're trying to learn, to problem solve him. That's what it is. Gold and silver. What are we doing? We're problem solving. What's the problem? What's going on with the money? They're printing the money. There's high debt. There's high inflation. There's a recession going on. So that's the problem. What do we do about it? How do we solve that problem? And well, let's see, they're printing the money to zero. So we don't want money because it's worthless. You're in inflation, which the prices maybe go up, maybe not, but really the value of the dollar drops. So that's we know what's happening. So if there's heavy inflation, why do we want to be in the dollar? It's losing value. We don't. And so that's why we go, what can we get into? And the most heavily depressed thing is gold and silver. Why are they doing that? So now you problem solve that. You go, well, why are they keeping gold and silver down? They don't want the competition with the dollar. So now you understand, now you problem solve that and go, oh, they're keeping it down. They're manipulating it. It's not the real price. What do I do about it? Well, I buy the gold and silver and wait for the price to go up. And with this inflation, it'll go up. And then we add variables, Russia, China, with all their gold. And we go, oh, well, they're going to make the price go up because they want the price to go up. The U.S. is crying they don't, but what can happen? I mean, can the U.S. hold off Russia, China? The answer is no. COMEX is going to blow up. It's too cheap of a price for gold. So once we understand all that, it's easy to problem solve what to do. So you're looking for what to do. What do they do with, they keep you in money. They keep you in, and so their job is to, so you're problem solving the financials. You're going, why are you got me in stocks? You go to your broker or your financial advisor. Why am I in stocks for the dividends? Do you not understand the money is going to zero? And they don't. They don't have a clue because they're not economists. That's where I bitch is saying, well, wait a minute. These guys don't know what they're doing. Why would you stop that? So that's the point. You need to problem solve your brokers and your financial by asking them gold questions and asking them inflation questions and seeing if they know, and they don't. None of them are Austrians. And that's the other thing. Do Austrians know or do Keynesians know? And it's been proven that the Austrian way works and the Keynesian way doesn't. But then you'll read, oh, the Austrian's been proven wrong. Believe it. And again, you've got to problem solve each of these pieces to go, no, the Austrian way is right. It should be the individual who sets the market, and gold is the way out. And once that's why I bitch, because you've got to find the right people to problem solve, and that's what you're looking for. And the brokers don't know, and the Rick Rudes don't know, and the Maloneys don't know. They're not Austrians, so I don't want to listen to a Keynesian because they can't problem solve the problem. They don't know what the problem is, and they don't know the variables to be used to solve the problem. This is why I go to Egon, and sometimes the alligator knows, and sometimes he doesn't know. Egon has the concept because he's more of an economist, which is basically you can't keep printing the money, it goes to zero. And if you do, it's not going to be worth anything. And I think that's the simple point of it is you've got to be careful. You've got to problem solve a lot when it comes to that. And then you've got to fight through the data. You've got false problem solving. They've got you into inflation as prices. Well, that's not even right. It's not. It's the printing of the dollar. So you've got to problem solve that's wrong. You've got to problem solve. So this is where I shortcut you and I go, here's the problem solved. No, the Keynesians are wrong. It's the Austrians. So I'm already saying we just solved that problem. And then it's the debt's 35 trillion. We problem solve that. So we're get you to get to the answer. So we're over here, and then they're dealing with stuff over here, and we've got to get you back. Well, you got to venture over here to see. Oh, Comex is phony. It's price fixed. It's not the real price of gold. So you've got to bring that again. But they've got you chasing Comex. They've got you chasing inflation. That it's prices. It's not even the money. So why would you buy gold? You're not afraid of the money being worthless, and you don't think gold goes up in the first place because they are playing that game on you. So you've got to go out and play 5 different games to problem solve games, and you got to solve all these other problems to get back to, I need to buy gold and silver. The BRICS and Putin are coming out with gold-backed currency, which will raise the gold price. They're going for oil for gold. So all these things will raise the gold price. So it's going to go up. Comex gets broken. The gold price goes to the real physical price, which is what we don't have. No, the paper price is not the real price. So when Alistair says it's not gold going up, it's going up. Women, how do you problem solve women? Good luck. You've got to figure out, A, there's so many different types. B, you've got to figure out, are they telling you the truth or not? C, you got to figure out, why are they talking to you? Why are they nice to me? Are they nice because they like me? Are they nice because they got money? So you've got all these little, it's just like gold. You've got all these little sub things that, well, let's see if she likes me for my money. If I don't give her money, does she still like me? Maybe not, maybe she does. And you just go on and on and on, digging into, well, this other type of woman or this type of woman, or, how do you problem solve them, right? How do you even know the rules of the game? That's just so difficult about people because they don't know. They change their mind. They can think you're an ass and then realize you're a good guy. So all the rules change. So that's really the problem with women. And then the same thing with people. Are they really honest? What do I do with them? Or if I give a girl money, does she really like me? I take her to dinner. Does she really like me, or is she just like that? I gave her a dinner. And that's all just learning and reading and then doing X one time and B and Y the next time. But it's all problem solving. You're trying to solve the problem. Do I want to be with this girl or not? I don't know. I don't know her. So I got to get to know her. How do I get to know her? Well, you talk to her and you spend time with her and you see what her point of view is. If she's a Keynesian and doesn't like gold, it's probably going to be a short thing. What's important to you? I want a girl that likes gold, that understands gold. So right away, I've just, 90% of the women are gone because they don't understand gold. I don't want to sit there and start arguing with the Keynesian about buy gold, not Bitcoin, right? Everybody's into Bitcoin. Don't you want to buy gold? So you sit there arguing with that. I don't want to spend the time to do it. So I want somebody that either already understands or doesn't understand, but wants to learn. And that's kind of what I'm looking at. The looks, maybe they're important, maybe they're not. More so I think it's the way they think is more important. If they're nice, how they treat you, I think that's part of it versus just the looks. So you can get a good looking girl who's an ass, you don't want to spend time with her. However, you can get a average looking girl who's very nice. And you go, oh, well, okay. You don't necessarily need the prettiest girl, but she can be somewhat pretty, but these other areas she's nice in. So again, it's all problem solving. So you got to figure out what the problem is, and then you've got to go from there. But she's also got to figure out her problem. What does she want from me? What type of guy does she want? She probably has no idea. I talk to girls, I don't want your money. Just be nice to me. Like they've been treated badly. So it's just be nice. So that's why you need to talk to the girls to try to get an idea and listen to what they say, to try to dig deeper and go, oh yeah, she's really nice, or she's a bitch, and and everything else. And don't ask her, why did you break up with your husband or boyfriend or whatever? Don't go there. Let them go there, but don't go there. Like Daria's divorced. I'm divorced. That's all that matters. I finally, and 4 days, I'm like, what the hell is she? I'm trying to problem solve it. Why aren't I hearing from you? Why isn't she texting me? And my conclusion was because she doesn't want me to know where she is. So she's not texting me. And I was right. And I got the answer today. She was at I don't want to say exactly, but let's just say she had a problem, and she goes to get it solved. And she was there, and she was afraid to tell me that's where she was at. She was afraid of losing me. So I had it nailed. So therefore she won't tell me and run the risk of me saying, "Oh, I don't want to be with this type of girl or that type of girl," and not understanding me. And then she said, "Oh, I was here," and I said, "Oh, that's fine. Just tell me next time. Next time, tell me you're there. That way, I don't have to uh, go 5 days without hearing from you and getting all nervous and worried." And I don't know why I do with her, but I do. Um, but then she said, and I was excited and happy today, and I was pretty much right. It was a little bit different than I thought why she didn't want to tell me, but nevertheless, when she told me, I was glad she told me, and I said, "That's great. I'm proud of you for doing it and telling me, and now I can enjoy my day and know you're safe." And off we go. She should get her passport in about a month, she said. She went and applied, and November, December 15th, and then I need a few weeks to book a good plane ticket because you can't just book one tomorrow to go to Turkey. It'll cost you $3,000, but if you give it a 2 week notice, you can get it for $1,200, $1,300. So that's what I always tell the girls: just give me some notice so I can buy a ticket at a good price, and then we'll do that. So, but I problem solved it correctly. She didn't want to tell me where she was at. She thought I wouldn't like it, and then I might leave her going, "Oh, you do that. I don't want to be involved in that. I'm leaving you," because that's probably what happened with other guys. So, like she says, that's how the Russian guys are versus I'm not a Russian guy, and what she likes is her sister's married to an American and very happy. So when she knows I'm American and she hears her sister doing that, she goes, "Oh, good, I want an American too." And Carmen did the same thing. Carmen had her sister had met a guy and a similar situation. So Carmen said, "Oh, and that's it's just funny how they are until they know." Now she doesn't mind that I'm American at all. And she's very nice, and it's funny, all this bullshit of Russian people and American people. We're all just people. When you go to Europe, they're all the same. You're just in a different country. You're in a different shopping mall, in a different restaurant, in a different city with the same people. They just speak differently. And you kind of realize that if you're in Spain, it's the same people you have here in Detroit or in Florida or wherever city you're in. It's the same thing, and all they do is they're just different from you, as far as that goes. So my clock's sitting at 48. Okay, I don't know. Maybe they changed the clock. I don't know. It seems to be working. I haven't gotten a text in a while. Last one's from Alex, so I'm hoping that's working. But again, I don't touch that. I don't block that. You can text. I talk. The cam, all that is just set up. I don't do it, and it works today. Why doesn't it work? Why yesterday didn't the mic work? So anyway, so that's problem solving. So I problem solved Daria, and I kind of knew. I thought it was something else, but I knew she didn't want to tell me and think I'd get mad. And so I said, "I'm not mad." And she was so happy that I was fine with it. I said, "Look, this is the way everybody should be. Go enjoy your life. I will support you. I'm not going to judge you. If you do X, Y, or Z, I'm fine with what you do. And you can share it with me, and maybe I'll do it with you, and then we'll go from there." And she was, very relieved that I did that, and very happy about it. So that's what I'm saying. So I said, don't hold it in. You're getting stressed out. You're stressing me out because you're not telling me something that I'm telling you. You can tell me anything. And so anyway, so I did problem solve that. I don't get that with anybody else. Jenna, I get a text every day, and like Daria will go 5 days with us. So I can see she's not, when she's working every hour or so, she's checking up on her daughter on WhatsApp. And then I see that she's on and she can't text me. But when I see this, she's on at 10 and then she's not on till 3, I know she's not working. And anyway, I heard that the text came in about 5 of them at about 5 in the morning, and I was hoping they were her, because sometimes Jenna, but I was happy that they were her, and I finally heard from her. So it is strange how that works, how the game is played, but that's it's everything's a game. Do we buy gold or silver? Why? We got to problem solve it. Do I get a job, and where do I work at? I got to problem solve it. Well, what am I looking for in a job? Well, I want a good boss, and I want a good company that's making money, that knows what they're doing, treats you with respect. Unlike Toyota with the Japanese, who are vicious racists who should not be in this country, and they are very rude to people. If I knew that, I would never work there. But they didn't tell me in the interview, oh yeah, we're assholes and you shouldn't work here. I mean, I looked at the guy who brought me down and I says, you got me from Michigan to come here for this shit? And keep in mind, I say what I'm very strong. So I've been doing this stoic, I think I showed you on YouTube, and it's just being like smart and being quiet and just listening. And so now at the club, when I go, I don't say a word. Sometimes I'll say a word, but normally I'm not saying a word. I'm just going in very confident, and watching, while I'm on the bike or in the pool, and take a hot tub. And I don't even bring up gold. Or I saw some fat guy in the hot tub today, and I was going to say, look, I can save your life, just fast and get off the sugar and the carbs. I didn't say a word because it's like not my business. I will, if you are friendly to me, we start talking, and then you'll ask me about it, or I can say, would you mind if I help you? I've had guys where I've said, can I help you? And they said, no, I don't want to hear it. And I'm like, well, go fuck off then. Okay, fine, go die. I don't care. I don't know you. I'm trying to help you. And I think that's what the Stoic is like. Don't try to help them. Just keep it to yourself. There's a lot of stuff, like if you have a lot of gold or a lot of money, you shouldn't tell anybody. You got to keep that quiet, because it'll come back to haunt you. I only bring it up here because I'm trying to be an example that look, I got gold. That's what you should buy. But because I have it, you should buy it. So anyway, that's kind of problem solving. If it's picking games, if it's picking a girlfriend, if it's picking a job, if it's what do I do with my money, even if you're to buy stock, you got to problem solve it. You got to know the variables. What do I look for when picking a stock? What do I look for when looking at the economy? What am I looking for about should I buy gold and silver or not? What am I looking for at poker? What am I looking for in football? How do I problem solve the game? How do I determine what I think will happen so I can bet on it? And that's what you're doing. A lot of people are just lazy, and they don't want to do any of it. They want somebody else to do it. And that's what you got on like that Two for the Money with Al Pacino when they're the sports handicapping service. Oh, bet 100,000 on Pittsburgh to beat Miami. And people don't want to do the homework. They don't know what's going to happen. They're relying on them to tell them the answers. And they don't understand when they're wrong. And they don't understand how hard it is to try to come up with what's happening. And that's what I'm trying to clue you in on. That's why I take great pride picking Denver over Buffalo yesterday. A, it's not easy to pick. B, the reason was okay, so if we get down to the nitty gritty, why did I like Denver? It's because I don't think Buffalo's that good. I don't think Josh Allen's that good. I think Russell Wilson's a much better quarterback. Josh Allen threw what? 3 interceptions yesterday. They kicked a late field goal to win Denver, but the 13 points, I was never where you come up with your problem solving. You come up with your variables. Buffalo, look, they lost to Jacksonville. They barely beat the Giants 15-9. This is not a good team. Then they go and get blown out by Cincinnati. So that's my point, is exactly what do you look at to make the determination of problem solving it? So once I see that, I go, Buffalo's not that good. Denver beat Kansas City. So I'm looking at kind of comparison going, well, shit, they just beat Kansas City. Why can't they beat Buffalo? And they have their defense is much better. As I pointed out, take away that 70-point game, and it's a 22. Russell Wilson, you got Sean Payton. So you know you're getting a better team and a better offense, which they are. Russell Wilson's stats are huge this year. So that's how you come up with it. So then, okay, now we start looking at next week. Washington and Oregon State. And we go, well, wait, Washington's a better team. I don't see the injury. And I can get Washington at 8.5. I think that's a good. I think if Oregon State wins, it's going to be close, but I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're good enough to win. Oregon couldn't beat them. I don't think Oregon State can. So you try to figure out how to problem solve it. And problem solving is just what's the problem? Picking the game. Variables. Then you're able to figure out what you think will happen. Good offense and no defense. They got a really good defense and they're Iowa. They have no offense and a good defense. So if they play, who are they playing? I think I like them under. They're playing Illinois, they don't. Then you can look at it like that and you go, oh yeah, I'm going to bet it under because Illinois got no offense. Iowa has no offense, so they can't take advantage. It'll be a low-scoring game. So, but I know that because I know Iowa is a low-scoring team because the quarterback's hurt and a great defense. So now you're getting all the variables: the offense, the defense. How do they score? What's their defense look like? What's their quarterback look like? And then, so you grabbing the variables. Well, let's see, how does Illinois play Wisconsin? Or how does Iowa play, a team like Illinois? And then you get it so I do that a lot with, Colorado against Oregon. They didn't show up, but the USC doesn't have a defense. How do they do against another good defensive team, UCLA? Well, they didn't score in that game. How are they going to do against Utah? They're not going to score in that game. How are they going to do against offensive teams? They're going to do okay. They scored well on Arizona, who has a good defense. So you kind of compare, and by using other games, you can make a determination what you want to do in this game, right? Well, if Washington beat Oregon, they can beat Oregon State, right? So that's kind of how you wrap it. On the Oregon State side, on the Oregon side, you go, well, or whoever Oregon plays, you go, but they can't afford to lose. Who's Oregon? They play somebody. They play Arizona State late in 23, and you go, but they lost. If they want to make the playoff, they cannot lose again. They're going to be there. They're not going to let down. Oklahoma State last week, what happened? They were flat because they played a big game with Oklahoma and beat them. Even though they had beaten Kansas and Kansas State and West Virginia, when they went against UCF, they didn't show up. So they were flat because they had beaten Oklahoma. Okay, so that's another variable thrown into the mix. Another way that you're trying to solve the problem. On the other hand, San Francisco 49ers had lost 3 games in a row. There ain't no way they're losing the fourth. They're not losing to Jacksonville, and they didn't. And again, that's another variable in the indication. Oh, wait, they're off of 3 losses. San Francisco, off of a bye. Who they playing? Jacksonville, who is not very good. They're going to kill them. And they did. And that's so you're looking at the whole picture and you're looking for reasons to bet them or not, high score or not, low score or not. And that's what you're looking at. And you're comparing them versus other teams. And that's really problem solving 101. So if it's at work, you got to build an Excel spreadsheet. Where do I get the data? How do I do it? And then you write all that down and then you know how to do it. And I'm an excellent problem solver, as you can see. As a financial analyst, I've got to analyze the problem. So that's really what I am. I'm analyzing the certain problems, be it Daria, be it football, be it gold. That's what I'm doing. I'm seeing the problem and I'm analyzing how to solve the problem. But I've developed such strong analytical skills that I can figure everything out, which is why I like the professor in Money Heist. I'm very similar, that I'm looking for plan B and I'm looking at everything else. I buy gold. At worst case, we sell the gold back. But I know that's not going to happen. I know we're going to make, and I'm not fortunate, but I am seeing a very strong manipulation okay, so the question is, will the gold manipulation from COMEX go away? Will they end COMEX and stop the paper pricing and go to a physical price? Will that happen is the question. And now what do you hear? Well, it hasn't happened in 50 years. Why is it going to happen now? But I think we have the problem solved by the BRICS countries, by Russia, coming out with a gold-backed currency. That solves that problem. That's what's going to make COMEX go away. Because everybody will buy. There won't be any, because it's a limited amount of gold. You can't print it the way you can print the dollar. So why is the dollar going away? Because they're printing it. Because these type of people who are called Keynesians, which are communists, want to keep printing the money. And they don't understand if they print it, it goes to zero. All the real assets go up in value. So if we see that that's happening, that inflation's huge, we can then take it to our advantage of how to play that game. And that game's played by gold and silver. Once we get out of price fixing, we'll go to the moon. And will it get out of price fixing? And we believe yes, because of BRICS, because of Putin. They want gold to go up. They have all the gold. So that's the next step in the thing, is getting the price out, is figuring out the problem. So you learn how to analyze, and really analyzing is just figuring out what you need to solve the problem, right? How do I, how do I tie my shoes? That's the problem. I don't know. I'm young. How do I tie my shoes? And I learn. I go, well, I got loose laces here, and if I do, some tying, well, thing you got to do is eat avocados, and you got to stay away from sugar and high fructose corn syrup, and do fasting and things like that. And then that's how you analyze the problem of the high blood pressure. As you do it, the blood pressure went down from 180 to 120. You're able to analyze, frozen now, or have I been frozen, or what? Now I think I'm okay. I don't think there's a change. Was I frozen the whole time, Greg and John, or just now? See, because I can't. Yours is the first message I got since Alex. And when Alex gave it to me, all of a sudden I got 5 or 6 messages at the same time, and then nothing. And then I've been talking for 2 hours, and I see people are on, and I'm not getting messages, but maybe nobody's giving me a message. I don't know what while frozen mean. Am I still frozen, Greg and John? Can you not hear me? What's going on? So I don't know, because I see myself, I'm moving. I'm not frozen on my end. I can see when I get frozen on my end, I know, but I don't know. I don't know what while frozen means. It's fine. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, and I can see your message, so that's fine. So anyway, any questions on the problem solving? Please let me know. I don't know if you care about it. I don't know if you understand it, or if you understand it and you're fine, no questions, or you're wondering why I'm talking about it. But it's really, I think, critical to do everything. Is if you don't know how to do anything, you problem solve it by analyzing and getting the right variables. Very leggy. It's very leggy. Okay. Well, I'm almost done anyway. I'll have to see the rerun if it's good or not. And I hope I didn't just talk for 3 hours for nothing, but went through all the games and everything else. So we will see. I think it's just YouTube having problems today. So I can see my timer goes 2 hours 46:50, 2 hours 46:54, 2 hours. Now I can see that it's not moving, and then it'll go 2:47:04. So for 10 seconds, and then in 2:47:11. So I'm getting these lapses. I can see that it normally is just 2:47:15, 16, 17, 8. Just it's a normal clock. So don't know what, again, I don't see it on my end. I see the clock, but I'm talking fine into it. That's why when you don't hear me, I don't know that I'm not being picked up. I can see my mic move, so I assume that's fine. But anyway, so that's really today's lesson, is problem solving. Football, women, economics, gold, jobs, poker, whatever it is, you should understand what the game is. You should analyze what the problem is. So what is the problem? Oh, I want to win at poker. And then how do you analyze it? Well, what are the variables? What is it that I'm analyzing? Football, what am I analyzing? I'm looking at teams, trying to predict the outcome and seeing by the point spread, by the score, what happened. How good are their defense? How much do they score? How's their quarterback? How's the coach? So I'm looking at these. I'm analyzing the variables to see if they're meaningful or not, to get to the problem solving. Like I say, I'm pretty sure I like Washington against Oregon State as a dog. I think they're too good to be a dog. It'd be like Ohio State or Michigan being a dog to Oregon State. It's crazy. So some teams like being a dog, some teams don't. That's where my trend analysis came in and said, hey, no. If San Diego's a dog, you bet on them. They're 22-3. And so I locked them. Some teams don't like to be a dog. Detroit's not. They're barely a road favorite. They're like 2-1 as a road favorite. They're never a road favorite. So that's what you're also looking for to predict, is that. It was very leggy. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm almost done. And hopefully it'll come across okay. But that's really the lesson to do that. So when I hear these guys talk about gold, but I've learned economics, so I know when I know when their analysis is correct and when it's bullshit. And when they say inflation is prices and not the dollar inflating, they don't understand. They're bullshitting. They don't understand it, and they'll say stuff like, well, the value of the currency is down, but prices are up. It's like they've heard probably from me that it's the purchasing power going down, but it's not. It's you're printing the dollar. You're printing too much. It's basically inflation. These guys are just printing and printing and printing. You don't even need inflation. When you hear they printed $10 billion or $10 trillion, and when you hear that when you see that they printed a lot and that we have this huge debt, you don't really need to understand economics. All you need to understand is, oh shit, we got a huge debt. We're fucked. And our dollar is worthless. And once nobody wants it, it's gone. But gold, everybody wants. So what do you want to be in the market where everybody is? And that's gold. So I think that's it. I think we didn't we go through the pro lines. I did. No, I don't think we went through pros. I'll go through pros tomorrow. Well, actually, I should go through them Thursday. We reviewed what happened last week. So if we talk pros quickly, it's again problem solving. The team is what type of team it is, and that's really what you're looking for. And then catching changes like California being an over team and Denver now being a better defensive team and a better team with the coach changed. He changed the analytical part of it, and that's really what you're looking for with it. You're looking for changes in variables. That's really what you're trying to do. So if we look at it, tomorrow night we got Baltimore, or Thursday night we got Baltimore 3.5, 45 to Cincinnati. As well as I know the pro teams, I don't need too much. I looked at the injuries and basically I'm going to probably go with Cincinnati and 9.5. As soon as I saw it, I got Joe Burrow as a dog, as I said, and they just won at San Francisco. Baltimore just lost to Cleveland. I'm not afraid of Baltimore off of a loss because they're not capable of, because they got Lamar. See, if you put Burrow on Baltimore and Lamar on Cincinnati, Baltimore wins the Super Bowl. I mean, that's it. That's the whole key to how I pick the quarterbacks. Let's see. Cleveland 438 over Pitt. And it's in the U.S. It's actually not in Germany. Houston 4.5, 47 over Arizona. San Diego 43.5 to Green Bay. Washington 9.5, 36.5 over the Giants. Jacksonville 740 over Tennessee. Detroit 1046 over the Bears. Miami go 1041 to Tampa. Excuse me. Seattle 146 to LA. I'm surprised LA's a home dog. Stafford's got his thumb, but he's probable. Buffalo 7-40 over the Jets. That's a big number. Denver 1.5, 42 over Minnesota. That's a surprising number. Are you not watching Denver? Maybe it's different since they won the game yesterday. And then Kansas City 346.5 to Philly. This is Super Bowl rematch. High scoring then. It should be high scoring now. KC's got a better defense, but Philly's so explosive. It's going to force KC to score more. And Philly's defense isn't really strong. So Philly's an over team. And even though their statistics are more of a B, they're scoring 28 and they're giving up 22. And you kind of know they're going to give up points. So KC's going, okay, we need to score. Philly's very hard to stop. So very good game there. Very good game, Baltimore, Cincy. There's not a whole lot of good games. Dallas should kill Carolina. Frisco should kill Tampa. See, and Frisco's got the 3-game losing streak, which is actually good for us now. Now we can hammer them. They can't afford to lose, and they're going to keep going. Now they got a mindset, okay, we're pissed off. Okay, fluke, we lost Cleveland. Guy missed the field goal. Fluke, we lost to Minnesota. Not a fluke. Joe Burrow beat the shit out of us. Now we beat Jacksonville. Now, okay, we understand now. Seattle and the Rams, a tight one. Buffalo and the Jets. Is Buffalo that good to be 7 points over anybody? Are the Jets that bad to get 7 points from Buffalo? I don't think they are. The Jets are a 19 defense, Buffalo an 18. And I think it'll be a close game. And Excuse me. So I don't know again, the Jets in 13, just like Denver. But I like Russell Wilson a whole lot better than Zach Wilson. Minnesota, Denver. What do we do with Dobbs? How do we problem solve the quarterbacks? That's what's getting me in the pros. Is to try to analyze this game, to problem solve. What do I do with the bet? I'm getting skewed on the quarterback. Oh, I don't think Stroud's any good. Oh, he is. I don't think Dobbs is any good. He is. So I'm getting this. Well, I'm going to bet against weakness, and the weakness isn't weak, and that's uh, Denver and many. I gotta believe Denver, wins, but you don't know. So you grab as many variables to analyze, to problem solve the game, and off you go. Anyway, forgive me there as I think I was so stressed with Daria that I am now relaxing and just getting tired. It's sort of like Kansas, right? You get all up, or Oklahoma State, you get all up for Oklahoma, and then the next week you're just flat. You don't have the energy because it's been used up, and it's hard to get back to that level. And that's what I try to say. Another variable that we look at. All right, I think that's it. I'm getting tired. Time and I have a little bit of chicken and a salad, so I'm going to eat. I haven't really had much for lunch. Had my avocado, and otherwise that was it. So anyway, that's probably why I'm tired. I'm not eating. So we'll look at pros, but try to problem solve it. So really, the game is what do I do to pick the game? And that's something that you need to understand. Yeah, you can buy my picks, and I can give you the picks, and you can make some money. And okay, that's fine. That either. So I can't do a legal thing. And so you guys, that's why you need my help to pick the games and bet the games and buy the gold. And that's fine. That's why I'm here. But if you can figure out things that look good in like one guy said, "Oh yeah, you gave me take the dog in the series, like in the division, Detroit and Chicago, play the dog, or then that's fine." But now that used to work. Does it still work? We'll find out. We got Detroit 10 over Chicago. Is that going to work? I don't know. You got different variables. You got a grocery clerk against golf. I mean, what do they know? Anyway, so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at betting against C teams, taking A teams, taking over games, taking under games. And then there's a lot of guesswork because it's so inconsistent. Cleveland, what the fuck? How do you get a 33-31 game with Baltimore, two of the best defenses in the league, and you play a 61? How is that even possible? That doesn't make sense. So that's what you try to avoid and go to, let's go to game B instead of game A. All right, www.teaserking.com. I don't know what to say about the video. I don't control YouTube, and I hope it's okay. All right, www.teaserking.com. No picks out there yet, but they'll be out probably tomorrow. Some of them will start. Just be smart. You're going to win. All right. Have a nice night. And I'm very happy I heard from Daria. All right. Take care.